You know, so far we've seen pretty different approaches depending on which company you're talking about. Lots of obviously tech-focused Silicon Valley-based companies are saying that people can just work from home indefinitely. There are other businesses that are pretty keen to get people back into traditional offices. So what kind of conversations are you having with your clients around this?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me here today. And our thoughts absolutely go out to all of those that have been impacted by the health and now the economic crisis. You know, at Salesforce, we think about this crisis in three distinct stages. The first stage that we talk to our customers about is what we call a crisis response. That was really the first 90 days of the crisis, and it really involved making sure that our operations were stable and people were able to work from home productively where possible. The second stage, which we're now starting to head into, is the reopening stage of reopening the workplace. And then thirdly, the final stage is a return to growth based on the next normal. And in each stage, organizations, including Salesforce, are all focused on the health and safety of their employees, helping customers navigate the crisis, and then importantly, supporting communities around the world. For Salesforce, as we head into the reopening phase, what we've been doing is we've been providing our customers with an exciting new capability called Work.com. This brings together powerful technology, a network of partners and experts around health, and specifically allowing organizations to put employee and visitor health and safety first. It includes functionalities like being able to conduct an employee wellness assessment, being able to manage employees in different shifts and have them enter the workplace in different shifts, contact tracing functionality. So if any of the employees do get sick, we can trace who they've come into contact with, emergency response capability in case we have an outbreak in the workplace and we need to notify employees, partners and customers, as well as grants and volunteer management. And so this capability is really designed to help organizations all around the world get back to reopening the workplace in a safe as possible approach.
And even in terms of Salesforce, you guys shut down your offices in a lot of different places in March. That's affected, what, about 50,000 employees at Salesforce? I'm wondering, given that so many parts of the US as well as globally are dealing with the potential severity of second wave infections, how does that muddle the waters when it comes to a coherent strategy to get people back into the office?
Well, you know, when we left our offices, it was really like turning off a light switch. But when we go back into the office, it's going to be more like turning on a dimmer switch, because the reality is that for many of us, this is actually our first pandemic, and so many of us are still learning. We can, however, look to countries in Asia where they've already lived through a number of virus outbreaks over the years. I think the reality, though, unfortunately, is there isn't a one-size-fits-all strategy, and every business is different. And so the plan that we have in place allows us to be nimble and flexible while maintaining, you know, the safest approach possible for our employees. Before returning to the office, we worked all of our employees through our business plan so they understood what their new workplace experience was going to be like. We answered any questions they might have. We share resources. We share visuals and images around what the workplace is going to look like, and make sure that everyone is comfortable and on the same page. We've also started to stream our employees into multiple shifts, because what this does is it minimizes the risk to any particular shift of infection. Every employee is provided a shift arrival time and the days of the week that they're allowed to be in the office. And that also helps us to manage the floor capacities and avoid, you know, the bottlenecks in the elevator. Before employees head into the office each day, we ask them to complete a daily wellness check-in through Work.com, where we ask employees a series of questions to ensure that they're healthy. Temperature checks throughout the day will also be the new normal. And I think the reality is that whilst not everyone will be comfortable to return to the office just now, we've given our employees the option to continue to work from home through the end of the year. And we'll continue to monitor this and adjust if required.
That's exactly where I was going next. So you are allowing employees to work remotely until the end of the year. What about after that? Will there be some workers that, in fact, that can work from their homes, be staying home?
Absolutely. You know, this is going to be a new normal. We are not going back to the old ways of working, and it's really important to appreciate that. We did some research recently where we found out that 69% of Australians expect the pandemic to permanently change the nature of work. Half of companies' employees are working from home, and about 66% say that they're more productive now than they were pre-COVID-19 pandemic. We don't have a crystal ball, but you can imagine that the people who have flexibility to work from home, maybe even for the first time, will want to retain that flexibility. And distributed workforce like we have at Salesforce, which have the culture and the tools to work anywhere, we think will absolutely become the norm. For those that do return to the office, they should expect a number of changes, as we talked about, to the layout, to the processes and procedures, how we're going to maintain social distancing. And we also think that many employees may choose to wear PPE, such as masks, inside the office itself.
Dan, so you work global. Salesforce really has employees globally. As you look to the reopening of different countries, you've already reopened some of the offices in China, Hong Kong, and South Korea. Are there particular regions that management is more concerned about a second wave hitting, and they're preparing more for those regions?
Look, I don't think so. I mean, I think that at Salesforce we're not predictors of health and viruses progressing around the world. But I think the reality is that what we would say is we are going to enter an environment where we are going to have to coexist with the virus when we return to the office, and that is an important element to understand. We're going to have to find a way to be able to coexist with the virus when we return to work. We're going to have to accommodate for a situation when an employee, and if an employee tests positive for COVID-19. And as we talked about earlier, I think we can absolutely look to some of the countries here in Asia Pacific who have been through pandemics like this in the past and really get some best practices from them in terms of how to deal with it. At Salesforce, our number one focus is the health and safety of our employees, our customers and the community, and we'll continue to do what we can to monitor and adjust our position.